Am I the asshole? For correcting my half-sister about my parentage and saying that my mom's husband isn't my dad. I am the kid of divorced parents. I live with my mom, her husband Steve, and their daughter Molly. My dad lives halfway across the country, and is in no financial position to look after a kid, which is why my mom has full custody. In spite of that, my dad and I are really close. We have daily video calls and send each other cards and presents on holidays and birthdays, and if it was feasible, I would totally rather live with him. That is all to say, I don't need another father figure to take his place. Anyway, the other day, Molly referred to Steve as me and my name as Daddy, and I corrected her that is her daddy, not mine. Molly looked dismayed and asked me what I meant and said, "Does that mean you're not my brother?" I explained to her that I have a different dad and that her dad is my mom's husband, but that doesn't mean he's my dad. I reassured her that I'm still her brother and I love her and yada yada. Steve shot me a death glare and my mom just looked sad. Molly seemed to accept my answer and we carried on with what we were doing. Later, my mom took me aside and told me she was sad that I hadn't accepted Steve yet, and called me petty and cruel for pushing your issues on a little kid. She said that, like it or not, Steve is her husband, so that makes him my father figure, and that I need to find room in your heart for both of your dads. I told her that Steve is not, and never will be, my dad, and told her that just because you hate my real dad doesn't mean I have to throw him away like you did. I was worried I would lose my temper even more than I already had, and left the situation to cool off. In the time since, Molly has been asking me incessant questions about my dad and why my mom left him. She slept with her gym buddy, but I'm not going to tell Molly that until she's older. For now the story is that my mom just fell out of love with my dad. Steve has been avoiding me like the plague and being passive-aggressive when we have to interact, and my mom has been bugging me to apologize to him. She's also been trying to find excuses for me to skip my video calls with my dad, but I'm not going to ever do that. Still, I'm worried I may have opened a can of worms I won't be able to close. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You're never the AH for wanting to maintain your biological parent in your life. And the other parent and or step-parent is always the AH for forcing false closeness of the relationship. She's 5. To me, it's weird that she doesn't already know your dad is someone else. Set boundaries. Sat her down and explain how you feel and that there is nothing to argue about. Your feeling are facts, she has to accept them. Not the asshole. Honestly, it's astonishing she made it 5 years without knowing this. Who did she think you were having daily video calls with? It's not appropriate for you mother to expect you to hide your parentage from your half-sister just to save her from a conversation she'll have to have eventually anyway. Not the asshole. You are more mature than your mom and stepdad. Sometimes just explaining things is easier than covering it up with a lie. You are also allowed to have boundaries. Sounds like you have issues already with your mom and the way she left your dad. I think the way you explained it was great. He's not your bio dad, but you and Molly are still siblings. Pretty simple to me. Good luck to you. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. But if you feel comfortable, you might consider a talk with Mom and Steve. Steve can have a part to play, but he's not dad and they should respect that. Unless Steve is an asshole, cut him a little slack. He probably just wants to appreciate you as his wife's son, but Mom sounds like the instigator here and has to get herself sorted out. Ask her to, if it's safe to do so, no backlash. Divorced parents can be super difficult about their ex and it sucks for you to be in the middle of it. Not the asshole. You set your boundaries. They didn't like it. You have a year-ish left until 18. Have plans to move with your dad when you hit 18. Stevie is going to want you out. Mommy dearest ain't going to do the right thing. Not the asshole. I'm the Molly of my family, older half-siblings from both my mum and dad. I have known for as long as I can remember that I have a different parent from my siblings. It was never a secret, no one ever tried to hide anything. I also have an adopted relative, again, always known this. Keeping secrets is just going to end in a lot of emotional pain for everyone. Molly will remember you're honest with her and that she will be able to come to you if she needs someone to talk to or help her. You're a good big brother. Your mom is a bit of an AH and your stepdad is too. Not the asshole. The kid always gets to decide how much or little they accept a step-parent into their life. If you don't feel like he's your dad, then he's not. Not the asshole because you are correct. However, you don't need to see Steve as a second father to appreciate him. I'm assuming he's paying many of the bills for where you live. Does he take you places, do things? You can have a relationship with him and still love your father as your one father. Never reject those who care for you. A response that might have helped would be Steve is great, but he's simply not my dad. I'm grateful for him and all he does, but my dad is my dad. But I do love Steve. Don't make it a competition, because in the end, the only one who loses is you. The thing that gets me the most about these step folks and the bio parent that goes along or pushes the step parent on the kid is they erase an entire person. And then promote a lie. Whether they passed away or an ex. Basically, they are saying to the kid that any experience or memory about this person just doesn't matter anymore because the bio parent married someone else. As if the kid doesn't have their own life or individually. Don't apologize. Not the asshole. Your mom is an AH for pushing this issue. You did right for telling Molly the truth. I'm sure Molly will have questions from time to time because of her age, but you handled it well. Your mom and Steve need to back off. Best of luck. Not the asshole at all. You handled perfectly, explained it in a way that she'll comprehend and understand. She was over it. You're an egg donor and her husband are just mad because now she knows the truth. And she's going to know even more the truth when she gets older. Continue to have that honest, transparent line of communication with her because there's no telling. You're not the asshole, buddy, and you won't be, especially since you were smart enough to leave when you knew you were upset. I'm a parent in a blended family. My stepkid's dad hasn't been a part of their life in many years. I 100% have supported my stepkids, and although they don't call me dad, I still call them my kids. But I don't expect to be called dad by them, and I never would have forced them to. And kids are smart enough to understand the concept of different parents. My stepkids are in their 20s now, with my little kids being 10 and 12. It's never been an issue here. Later, my mom took me aside and told me she was sad that I hadn't accepted Steve yet. What does that have anything to do with explaining that you have a different bio father? Even if you saw Steve as a father, Molly should still know that you have another dad. They don't get to erase your biological history. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. His reaction is rude and definitely tells about his character. Not the asshole. Both of my brothers are from my dad's first marriage and I'm from his second. I've always known that they have a different mom than I do and it's never been an issue. Your mom and stepdad need to chill. Not the asshole. But a word of caution, your stepdad and your mom can make your life hell. You're young, clearly at least a little clever. Play nice and when you're in a position to do so, tell them to fuck themselves. Not the asshole. My mom got remarried when I was like 23, on Father's Day, and has given me shit for over a decade for not calling her husband on Father's Day to say Happy Father's Day and anniversary. Like, I have a dad. Sorry you disdain him so much you decided to get married on Father's Day to force a different father figure on me. It's a weird situation. Anyway, you have a dad, he's not your dad, and he and your mom are AH for trying to replace your dad and intentionally misleading your sister and expecting you to apologize for not misleading her. You're fine.